أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، بارئ الخلائق أجمعين، باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على خير خلقه العبد المؤيد والرسول المسدد، حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وصحابته المنتجبين. قال الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألم يعلموا أن الله هو يقبل التوبة عن عباده. ألم يعلموا أن الله هو يقبل التوبة من عباده ويأخذ الصدقات. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Sadaqa is singular, sadaqat is plural. They both signal to charity. Sadaqa means charity, giving money in charity. However, there's two kinds of sadaqat. There's the mandatory form of sadaqat, which includes zakat, zakatul fitra, which we'll be giving on the day of Eid. It includes khums. It includes any mandatory form of charity. Even kafara, for example, those that break their fast on purpose must feed 60 poor people. As one of the options is to feed 60 poor people. That kafara, it is also considered part of sadaqat. So anything that you must give mandatorily, that is called sadaqah. That is one kind of sadaqah. Another kind of sadaqah is voluntary. You don't have to give. You could. It's by choice. That is also called sadaqat. And tonight, my dear brothers and sisters, I would like to emphasize and talk about the second kind of charity. The non-mandatory, non-obligatory charity, the recommended or voluntary charity. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
Giving charity, the non-mandatory type, the voluntary type, it says a lot about a human being. When a person takes money out of his pocket, out of his bank account, and gives for a good cause, to build an orphanage, to build a clinic, to build a hospital, to give to the poor, to build a mosque, because all of this is considered charity. Some of us, we only think that charity is for the poor people. No. Giving charity to any righteous cause, that is sadaqah. Even if you give to build a mosque, or a Hosseinian, or to buy food, even for the well-off, to give food for the sake of Allah. Food does not always have to be for the poor. It is good to give to the poor. But it'am al-ta'am, cooking food and giving food in charity, doesn't necessarily need to be to the poor. Spending money for any Islamic cause, for any good cause, is considered sadaqah in charity. It says a lot about a human being, a lot about a person. One, it shows that person lacks attachment to money. That person is not attached. A lot of people, they form attachments to money, to their belongings, to their cars. God forbid their car is scratched, or something happens to their mobile phone, or something happens at home, on things that are, meaningless. They go crazy. Why? Because they formed an attachment. They formed a detachment with their car, with their phone, with their house, with their bed, the things that they build, the things that they own. When a person gives charity, that shows lack of attachment. That money means nothing to him. He's not really attached. He owns money, and money does not own him. And that is very important. That we own money, and money does not own us. And in his famous hadith to Kumayl ibn Ziyad, Imam Ali alayhi salam,
Allahumma salli
acclimate. العلم خير من المال. العلم يحرسك وأنت تحرس المال. Knowledge is better than wealth. Why? Because knowledge protects you while you protect wealth. Well, it should be the other way around. While our wealth should be protecting else, we spend so much amount of time protecting our wealth, putting it in the right bank accounts, putting it in the right investments, making sure that our money is protected. I remember several years ago when the dollar went down, I had a friend that because of that drop in the dollar, he lost in a couple of seconds $25,000. He almost had a heart attack. I told him, listen, money is meant to serve you, or are you meant to serve money? Let's get our priorities. So number one, charity says that a person lacks attachment to his wealth. This is one. Two, it says that that person is generous. The person likes to share his wealth. His wealth is not just for him, but he enjoys sharing his wealth with others. You know, that's an enjoyment. For a generous person, it is enjoyment to see his wealth being shared. For a greedy person, that is torture. For him to have to give his wealth to others, that is a form of torture. But for a generous person, that is enjoyment. That is entertainment, to give his wealth for others. Three, when a person gives charity, it shows sympathy. That he has sympathy for the poor, for the less fortunate, for the orphans. He shows sympathy. His heart is not made of rock solid. No. His heart is pure. His heart is sympathetic. He's emotional. He wants to show sympathy for others. And number four, it shows that he has a sense of responsibility. A person that gives charity, that shows that he is responsible towards his community. If he spends money to buy or build an Islamic center, or to purchase a madrasa, or to open a school, or to open a satellite channel, it shows that he is responsible towards his ummah, towards his nation. He is responsible towards his fellow Muslim brothers and sisters, wherever they are, whether they're in Afghanistan. Yesterday, our brothers and sisters in Afghanistan and Kabul had to witness a horrific tragedy. A horrific tragedy. The least thing that we could do for them, we're living in a good place, in a good country, we're safe, we're sound. The least thing we could do for them is pray for them and help them with our wealth. If they need support. God knows, because of that blast that took place in Kabul, how many orphans there are today. How many children are suffering because they've lost their breadwinners. Let's show our sense of solidarity and sympathy and responsibility by helping. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. The Quran tells us a lot about Sadaqa and Sadaqat. The Quran tells us that Allah made it obligatory upon the Sahaba whenever they asked a question from the Prophet, because they felt that Rasulullah should be sitting at home 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, available for them, for their questions, for their comments, for their concerns, even if they had silly questions. You know, they say there's no such thing as a silly question. Believe me, there are silly questions. I get them all the time. Right? Rasulullah had to get a bunch of silly questions. People thought that he's at their service all the time. Whenever they'd like, they could barge into his house and ask silly questions. Allah said, enough is enough. If you have a question, you have to pay Sadaqa. You have to pay Sadaqa in order to ask a question. 1 Sadaqa per question. Guess what happened? The question stopped. Now that they have to pay, now that they have to give Sadaqa, the question stopped. The only person who prayed Sadaqa to ask a question was whom? Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا ناجيتم الرسول فقدموا بين يدي نجواكم صدقة. All you who believe, if you ask privately, najwa, najaytum means you come and ask privately from Rasulullah a question, don't think that he's sitting there 24 hours not doing anything. He doesn't have a social life, he doesn't have a family life. You have a question, come and pay. As soon as it was time to pay, they stopped. They stopped asking questions, and it shows that how some of them were greedy. Some of them were greedy. They were not willing to pay, except Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam. He kept on coming, asking questions and paying, to the point that when Allah saw no one is asking questions, to the point that no one wanted knowledge, Allah abrogated this law. He said, khalas. You want to ask questions? Ask questions. You don't need to pay sadaqah anymore. When everyone's greedy, no one wants to pay, this law changed. Sallu ala Muhammad wa alihi. When we read the Quran, we see that the Quran tells us about three essential qualities of the pious. The pious, the God-fearing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us about three essential qualities. Let us see, do we have those qualities or we do not have those qualities? If we do, alhamdulillah, that is a blessing. If we don't, let us try to achieve these qualities. Allah says in the Quran, Alif Lam Mim, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. Who are the muttaqeen? Number one, الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ. Those who believe in the unseen. Those that are not seen. Allah is not seen. Previous prophets are not seen. Imam al-Mahdi is not seen. This is all al-ghayb. These are all things that we cannot see and we have firm belief in. We have firm faith in. Do we have faith in these things? Inshallah we do. الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةِ. And those who establish prayers, establish salat. Doesn't say they perform salat. We can simply come and perform salat. We all perform our salat. But do we establish our salat? We firmly establish our salat at home, at work, with our children. Even if they're young, we ask them to come and pray with us. At work, we don't delay salat for a minute. We leave everything. Nothing has priority over salat. Not work, not business, not a flight, not a meal, nothing. That is why even if we're hungry and we've been fasting for the past 16, 17 hours, we perform our salah first. Because nothing is more important than salah. الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةِ وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. And they give from that which we gave them. Allah is reminding us, don't think that you started this business on your own. You might be a successful businessman, you might be a successful CEO, you're making millions of dollars, but guess what? We gave it to you. We gave it to you. Don't think that you did it all because of your talent or your education, or it's all from you. It's all from us. وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. From that which we gave them, they give and they spend. These are essential three qualities of the pious. And then, if a person has these qualities, what happens? أُولَٰئِكَ عَلَىٰ هُدًى مِّن رَبِّهِمْ. Those people are rightly guided. These are the rightly guided. Those who have these qualities, Allah guides them to the right path. وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. And they are the successful. And they are the successful ones. صلوا على محمد وآله. اللهم صل على محمد وآله محمد. You know, giving sadaqah, it's a sign of being grateful. How do you show Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you are grateful that He has given you wealth? By giving. You know, Allah says to thank Him. وَلَئِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. If you thank me, I will give you more. There's two ways of thanking Allah. There's one way, الشكر باللسان, thanking Allah by our tongue. That's very easy. Saying الشكر لله, alhamdulillah. That is one way. That's the easiest. And by the way, even though it's very easy, some people do not do it. Even though it's the easiest way of thanking Allah, yet still some people do not remember to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. On the contrary, they complain. They complain about Allah. They complain about their lifestyle, about their economy, about their financial status. They don't thank Allah. Even though it's very easy. It's just two words. Ash-shukru lillah. This is one way of thanking Allah. Another way is the practical way of thanking Allah. How do you thank Allah? It is relative. It is relative. For every blessing, there's one way of thanking Allah. If you are wealthy, one way of thanking Allah is to give sadaqah. If you have knowledge, thanking Allah means sharing your knowledge. That is how you thank Allah. If you're a doctor, once in a while, you cure the sick, the poor who are sick, the needy, orphans. You know, I live in Karbala, Iraq, and I see some groups that come every year, once a year, maybe twice a year. They're doctors, but yet they take out time from their busy schedules, from their offices. Some of them are in debt. Some of them are still paying the debt that they had to take during the days when they were studying. But they come every year and they help the poor. They go to Karbala, Najaf. They go and look for the poor. They don't wait for the poor to come to them. They go after the poor. They go after the orphans. And they go and they cure them. A couple of days in Karbala, a couple of days in Najaf. You have Imamiyya medics. You have doctors without borders. You have a world without barriers. These are doctors that I've seen with my own eyes. They come humbly. They don't expect to thank you. They don't expect anyone to thank them. Just like the Ahlul Bayt. لَا نُرِيدُ مِنْكُمْ جَزَاءً وَلَا شُكْرًا. When they fasted for 3 days and they fed the poor, they said, we don't expect to thank you. Alhamdulillah, we have such people in our communities. That is one way that you thank Allah Azza wa Jal. Whatever it is, any blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you, how do you thank Him? By sharing that blessing. Allah has given you lots of palm trees. You give dates. Allah has given you strength. You spend some of that strength for the sake of Allah. Allah has given you plenty of time. You donate some of your time for your community. And so on and so forth. Allah has given you a beautiful voice. Spend that voice for the sake of Allah. Recite adhan, recite Quran, recite dua. You know, beautiful voices, they uplift the soul. Use your voice for the sake of Allah. Unfortunately, there are some, Allah has given them a blessing. They use that blessing to disobey Allah. You see him with a beautiful voice. Instead of coming to recite Quran, he goes and he sings. He goes and he does music. Instead of serving Allah, serving Ar-Rahman, he goes and he serves Al-Shaytan. Is this how we thank Allah for our blessings that He's given us? If you're a good cook, you cook food for the poor, for the community, and so on and so forth. So every blessing, the way you thank that blessing, you thank Allah for that blessing is relative. You give and you share that blessing. Sallu ala Muhammad wa alaikum. Now, what are some of the benefits of giving sadaqah? And that is my main topic tonight. The benefits of giving sadaqah. The benefits of giving sadaqah. When we read the narrations of Ahlul Bayt, I've summarized the narrations of Ahlul Bayt. And I found that the narrations of Ahlul Bayt, they discuss 5 different benefits of giving sadaqah. 1, they repel tragedies. They repel tragedies. If you want to avoid a car accident, a tragedy at work, a tragedy at home, falling, a tragedy with your children, God forbid. This world, this life is full of tragedies. This life is full of evil. You never know. Within a split second, you hear of someone who died in a car accident, in a plane crash, in a train crash, who fell and broke his arm, who fell and broke his ribs, or I don't know what. If you want to avoid tragedies, give sadaqah. As-sadaqa tadfa'u al-bala'. This is a saying by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Sadaqah repels evil, repels tragedies. I encourage all of my dear brothers and sisters, and this is for me first, a lesson for me and for others. Every day, when you wake up in the morning, before you leave the house, give something of sadaqah. Even if it's small, even if it's 50 cents, even if it's a quarter, even if it's $1, that $1 can save your life and the lives of your loved ones, the lives of your children. You have a college student, far, you're always worried. You're a worried mother, you're a worried father, you don't know. What will happen to your son or daughter? Well, there's one way you can ensure their security. Pay sadaqah. You're sitting here in Allentown. Your son and daughter might be in California or New York or somewhere else. Give sadaqah. On your behalf and on the behalf of your children, on behalf of your loved ones, Allah will repel that evil and tragedy. This is one. Number two, sadaqah repels sudden death. Sometimes, someone is old, they're 90, 95. Death for them is not a surprise. When death comes to them, they're already ready for death. They accept their goodbyes, they've done their dues, they've done their tawbah and istighfar, and they're ready to pass away. Sometimes death comes suddenly. A young man, he's in his 20s, he's in his 30s, all of a sudden death comes to him, whether it's through a car accident, or by cancer, or any other way. One way of repelling sudden death, mawtul fuj'a, surprising death, is by sadaqah. Number three, sadaqah heals the sick. It heals the sick. If you have someone who's ill, someone who's hospitalized, someone who's suffering from an illness, who's diagnosed, even with a deadly disease, even if he's diagnosed or she's diagnosed with cancer, with MS, or any of those diseases, give sadaqah. Sadaqah cures the sick. This is a hadith. Da'u mardakum bis-sadaqat. Heal your sick by giving sadaqah. Number four, sadaqah increases income and increases our income. Subhanallah. Some people do not give sadaqah because they fear over their income, because they fear over their wealth. They want their wealth to grow, so they don't give sadaqah, not knowing that sadaqah has the opposite effect. The more you give, the more you will have. The more Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you. We have a friend in California. He used to give $25,000 a month for the orphans of Karbala. $25,000 a month. He came to Karbala. Before visiting Karbala, he was diagnosed with cancer. He was diagnosed with cancer. Instead of going to hospitals, instead of going to different places, he said, I will come to the best doctor in the world, Imam Hossein al Qazwini. He came to Karbala. And he came and he visited some of the orphanages that we have in Karbala. And he gave money to the orphans. And he wiped the head of some of the orphans. He went back to California. He went, had checkups. They told him there's no sign of the cancer. There's no sign of cancer. The $25,000 became $50,000. This was 3 years ago. Till now, every month he sends $50,000. He says, I swear to God, my money is increasing. It's not decreasing. His money is increasing. When you give for the sake of Allah, your money only increases. It doesn't decrease. For those that are foolish, they say that I don't want to give sadaqah, I don't want to help this cause or that cause, this hospital or that clinic or this orphanage or this mosque. My money's for me, it's for my children. I'm saving for my college funds for my children. Don't be silly. When you give, Allah will bring back to you. Your money will increase. And number 5, forgiveness from Allah. The Quran says, وَنُكَفِّرْ عَنْكُمْ مِنْ سَيِّئَاتِكُمْ. When you give sadaqah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives us for our sins. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. When we give sadaqah, there's 2 ways that we can give. One is by giving it out in public. There's a fundraising dinner, there's a gala dinner, for any cause. There's a trust, there's people doing good work, good causes in Africa, in Iraq, and in Afghanistan, and poor countries. And you give sadaqah in public, that is great. But there's also another form of sadaqah when you give it in private, secretly. That is even greater. The Quran says, this is not me. The Quran says, إِن تُبْدُوا الصَّدُقَاتِ فَنِعِمَّا. If you give sadaqah in public, that is good. وَإِن تُخْفُوهَا. You give it under the table. You hide that sadaqah. You don't let anyone know. You don't even let your family members know. Not even your wife. Not even your children. وَإِن تُخْفُوهَا وَتُؤْتُوهَا الْفُقَرَاءَ فَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. If you hide your sadaqah, it is even better for you. وَيُكَفَّرْ عَنْكُمْ مِنْ سَيِّئَاتِكُمْ. And He shall forgive your sins. Some scholars say that sadaqah allows us to attain forgiveness if it is done in private. If it is done in public, it has the other 4 benefits. Remember, we just talked about 5 benefits? It has the other 4 benefits, but not the 5th. If you want the 5th benefit of being forgiven, give sadaqah privately. Privately. Don't let anyone know. This is more sincere. When you give privately, it's more sincere because no one knows. No one is there to take. When you do it in public, everyone says bravo, God bless you, jazakallah khair. Everyone, comes up, gives you a pat on the back. But when you do it secretly, no one sees, except the eyes that never sleep. The all-seeing sees. Maybe no one else thanks us, but Allah thanks us. Allah likes actions that are sincere. Fasting. Right now, fasting that inshallah, we're all blessed to do. It's a blessing. If you are fasting, it's a blessing. Why is it such a great deed? Because you can't show off with it. With salah, you could show off. With hajj, you could show off. With ziyarah, you could show off. You could post pictures, selfies. With the Zariha of Imam Hussein, Bayt al-Haramain. With all deeds, you could show off, except with fasting. How do you show off with fasting? Except that person. There was someone praying inside the masjid, and he saw a group of people. They came in. So he started to prolong the salah. He said, MashaAllah, what a beautiful prayer. In his dua, in his qunut, he started reciting dua kumayn. Years pass and he doesn't recite dua kumayn. But today in his salah, he decided reciting dua kumayn. So they started praising him, MashaAllah, what a good believer. And then they stopped. They changed the subject. But he wants them to continue praising them, but they stopped. So in the middle of salah, he turned his face and he said, I'm fasting as well. Fasting you have to declare, otherwise you cannot show off with fasting. That is why it is one of the best a'mal, because you cannot show off. It's sincere for Allah Azza wa Jalla. وَإِن تُخْفُوهَا وَتُؤْتُوهَا الْفُقَرَاءَ فَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. If we hide the sadaqah and we do not show off with it. There's some narrations that say when you give sadaqah with your right hand, don't let your left hand see it. Don't let your left hand see it. Hide it from your left hand. It is more rewarding and it is more sincere. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. The Quran tells us that some sadaqat are harmful. Harmful? Yeah. Some sadaqat are harmful. How can sadaqah be harmful? It's charity. It's for the poor. It's for the orphans. It's for the needy. It could be harmful? Absolutely. The Quran says that some people, they give charity and they come and they tell you, they rub it in your face. Didn't I give you money? When we go and visit some poor countries, we give a lousy dollar to the poor person. When he asks for more, we tell him, didn't we give you already $1? Didn't we give you enough? Enough is enough. We rub it into his face. It's as if we've done him a favor. There are some people that when they give sadaqah, they tell the person, I've done you a favor. I gave you money. Didn't I give you to build this mosque? Didn't I give you money to build this charity? To build this project? To build this hospital? To build this orphanage? Didn't we give money to that family? This is wrong. That sadaqah is harmful. That will do you more harm than it does you good. The Quran says, this is not me. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا لَا تُبْطِلُوا صَدُقَاتِكُمْ بِالْمَنِّ وَالْأَذَى كَالَّذِي يَنْفِقُ أَمْوَالَهُ رِئَاءَ النَّاسِ. O you who believe, do not invalidate your sadaqah by men. Men is by telling him, I gave you money. I gave you money and you did not even thank me. Remember last year, 2 years ago, 10 years ago when I gave you money? This is called men. This is wrong. You will lose all your reward. When you do a good deed, don't rub it in a person's face. Because you will lose all the reward. You're doing it for the sake of Allah. You don't need to mention it anymore. When we do good deeds, don't talk about them. I did this in this country, I did that in that country, I supported this. You're ruining all your reward. If you had some reward, it's vaporized. It's gone. When you do good deeds, don't speak to it. Don't speak about it. Keep it for Allah. قول معروف ومغفرة خير من صدقة يتبعها أذى والله غني حليم. Allah says that say good deeds, say good words. It's better than you give sadaqah and you rub it in a person's face. Allah does not want that from you. Wallahu ghaniyun halim. Allah is rich. Allah is not in need of our wealth. We are in need of giving wealth. When you see a poor person and you give him wealth and he says thank you, say no, thank you. Thank you for accepting my sadaqah. Thank you for purifying my soul. When I give sadaqah, I am purifying this soul. I'm cleansing it. I'm detaching it from wealth, from money. We should be in debt. We should be happy and grateful that the person is accepting our sadaqah, not the other way around. Sallu ala Muhammad wa sallam.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Also, the Quran tells us that when you give sadaqah, know that you are giving it to Allah Azza wa Jalla. Any sadaqah that you're giving, to any group, to any charity, Allah is the one that receives the sadaqah. أَلَمْ يَعْلَمُوا. This is the verse that I recited in the beginning of the lecture. أَلَمْ يَعْلَمُوا. Do they not know أَنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ يَقْبَلُ التَّوْبَةَ عَنْ عِبَادِهِ, that Allah is the one that accepts the repentance of His servants. وَيَأْخُذُ الصَّدُقَاتِ, and He takes the charity. There are narrations that say that when you give charity and you put it in the hands of an orphan and you put it in the hands of the poor, you are actually putting it in the hands of Allah. Of course, Allah does not have hands. Allah does not have physical hands. This is metaphoric. It means that you're giving it to Allah. And Allah accepts our sadaqah. This is encouraging. It encourages us to give sadaqah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa alihi.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
The Quran also tells us that those who give sadaqah, they are giving a loan to Allah Azza wa Jalla. This is a loan. And what does that mean? When you give someone a loan, the money will come back, right? This is not a grant. The difference between a grant and a loan is that a grant does not come back, but a loan comes back. And if the person is generous, of course not riba, not interest. Giving interest is haram, but giving a gift is recommended. If someone gives you a $1,000 loan, it's recommended when you give him back the $1,000, give him something extra. Give him 1,100, 1,200, not interest. If he asks for it, this becomes interest. But if he doesn't ask for it, you're giving it to him as a gift, this is recommended. This is good. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that those who give charity, they are giving me a loan. And when Allah gives a loan, do you think Allah gives a gift or He doesn't give a gift? Allah gives a gift. Allah gives it back double. If it's 1,000, it will come back 2,000. If it's 2,000, it will come back 4,000. This is what Allah says in the Quran. Allah doesn't lie. إِنَّ الْمُصَدِّقِينَ وَالْمُصَدِّقَاتِ وَأَقْرَضُوا اللَّهَ قَرْضًا حَسَنًا. Those from, see, Allah recognizes both genders. Both genders. Because those who give sadaqah are not just men, but there's women who also give sadaqah. In fact, I know some sisters that are more generous than brothers. I know some women that are more generous than men. I know some women that encourage their men. I know some men, at the mosque, not here because men and women are separated, but I've seen some mosques where men and women are together. When the donation box comes, the man has to look at his wife. If he gets the okay from his wife, he puts money. If he gets this, there's no donation. But alhamdulillah, there's some sisters, they encourage their husbands to give. And there are some that don't encourage. They tell them, spend at home. Let's get that brand new TV that we've been talking about. So a wife plays a major role, whether the husband gives or he doesn't. There are some women, they give from their own money, from their own wealth. She doesn't need to take from her husband's wealth. She gives from her own wealth. I know some projects in the Middle East, a lot of the money comes from women. May Allah bless them. In fact, we are all in debt to one woman that spent her wealth for the sake of Islam. Right? Sayyidah Khadija, alayhi salam, who will we commemorate on the 10th of Ramadan. Sallu ala Muhammad wa
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Inna al-musaddiqina wal-musaddiqat. The ones who give charity from men and women. وَأَقْرَضُ اللَّهَ قَرْضًا حَسَنًا. They give a loan to Allah. What is the reward? They will have two rewards. One in this life and one in the next. The reward in this life is that the money will come back double. Double the amount. يُضَاعَفْ لَهُمْ. يُضَاعَفْ. It means the money will be multiple. It will be doubled. You give 100, 200 will come back. Sooner or later. Believe me. All money that is given for the sake of Allah, it comes back. And I'm sure that all of you have experience. All of you have experience with this. Any money that you give for the sake of Allah, it will be doubled. وَلَهُمْ أَجْرٌ كَرِيمٌ. And they will be rewarded. This is, see, two rewards. One is the money will be doubled in this life, and they will be rewarded with a generous reward. وَلَهُمْ أَجْرٌ كَرِيمٌ. Kareem means generous. They will be rewarded generously in the next life. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
We have a family friend. He passed away, rahmatullah alayhi, maybe a year or 2 years ago. He says that I went to Iraq. This was during the days of Saddam, when many Iraqis, like ourselves, were not able to go to Saddam in Iraq during those days. We're not able to go to Iraq, I'm sorry, because of Saddam. During those days, alhamdulillah, Allah allowed us to go back after his fall. We have a friend that went to Iraq during the days of Saddam. And he had money with him. People, he announced that he's going to Iraq. So community members, they brought him money. And they said, take it to the poor in Baghdad, in Karbala, in Najaf. So he said, arrived to Baghdad. And I stayed at the Hilton Hotel in Baghdad. He said, that night I was extremely tired. He said, one of my friends or one of my family members, he said, if you have money with you, come, let's distribute it. He said, but I just arrived and I'm extremely tired. I just came overseas. Let me sleep. Tomorrow morning early, we'll go out and we'll spend. He said, no, there's people that don't have dinner. They have nothing to eat. Let's go out and let's give them this charity now. I said, okay. Even though I was very tired, I left my room and I came out. He says, he's a reliable person. He says, as soon as I came out from the hotel, we saw F-16s, US jets. It was during the days when the US bombed Baghdad. He said a rocket came and it bombed the Hilton Hotel. Where? On my floor. Where? In my own room. In my own room. He said if I had waited 10 minutes, I would have been into pieces. Because of my sadaqah. Because of these sadaqat, I left my room, I came out. Because of these poor people, because of the orphans, Allah saved my life. This is one example. I'm sure you have examples, you have stories. We all have stories of the benefits of giving sadaqah. This is the month of Ramadan, the month of giving. Why do we fast? Is it not to feel the pain of the hungry, the pain of the poor, the pain of the less fortunate, the pain of those that do not have what we own? And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in his famous khutbah before the month of Ramadan, what does he say? He says, وَتَصَدَّقُوا عَلَى فُقَرَاءِ النَّاسِ وَتُصَدَّقْ عَلَى فُقَرَائِكُمْ. Give. During this month, take advantage of this month. Give sadaqah. If you've been waiting all year long, this is the chance. If you want to give sadaqah, give it now, because the reward will be multiplied. You can give all year long, that is great, but in this month, the reward will be multiplied, not just double or triple. God knows how much. Well, sadaqah will be multiplied in this month. There's so many organizations. There's so many projects. There's so many foundations. Help your local mosque, your local madrasa. There's so many orphanages, clinics, hospitals across the globe. This is the month to be generous and to give out your sadaqah. وصلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Before I conclude, my dear brothers and sisters, and before I recite dua, 2-3 nights ago, I talked about Instagram marriages, if you all remember. There's one thing I'd like to clarify, just in case that some of my dear youth, my dear brothers and sisters might have misunderstood me. I'd like to clarify one thing. When we talked about finding spouses online, for those that, they don't have too many options in their community, does that mean that they should not get married whatsoever? Or can they turn to online? Can they turn to the internet? Perhaps some might think that I gave the green light and that you can look for a spouse and you could speak to whoever you'd like and in any matter that you'd like. We can joke around without respecting Islamic laws, without sharing pictures. Absolutely not. This was not my intention. So if there's anyone who thought of this, this was definitely not my intention. I was, when I talked about this, we had, something done, or maybe I assumed so, that if you're looking for a spouse online, you're observing Islamic rules and regulations, obviously, because you're looking for a spouse. You're not playing around. This is no joke. You're looking for someone to build your family with. So I assume that whoever is doing this is obviously religious and is abiding by laws. But to receive a green light and to speak to whoever you'd like and in any manner possible, obviously that is not what we meant. So if anyone, thought of this, this should be corrected. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. اللهم ادخل على أهل القبور السرور. اللهم اشفي كل مريض. اللهم داوي كل جريح. اللهم اكس كل عريان. اللهم اشبع كل جائع. اللهم اغني كل فقير. اللهم اقضي دين كل مدين. اللهم سد فقرنا بغناك وغير سوء حالنا بحسن حالك واقض عنا الدين وأغننا من الفقر. اللهم إني أسألك أن تجعل فيما تقضي وتقدر من الأمر المحتوم في الأمر الحكيم من القضاء الذي لا يرد ولا يبدل أن تكتبنا من حجاج بيتك الحرام المبرور حجهم المشكور سعيهم المغفور ذنوبهم المكفر عنهم سيئاتهم وأن تجعل فيما تقضي وتقدر أن تطيل عمري في خير وعافية وتوسع في رزقي وتجعلني ممن تنتصر به لدينك ولا تستبدل بي غيري. أعوذ بجلال وجهك الكريم أن ينقضي عني شهر رمضان أو يطلع الفجر من ليلتي هذه ولك قبلي تبعة أو ذنب تعذبني عليه ولأرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات والعلماء والشهداء. نقرأ سورة الفاتحة مع الصلوات. اللهم صل على